Okay, 20 pages this time, 20 pages today. I'm Tanis Leonardi. This is my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonardi, and I continue my reading of The Race of the Century, The Battle to Break the 4-Minute Mile by Neal Bascomb. And today I decided to do 20 pages for this, a 20 pages per day video approach. I've done 5, I've done 10, I've done 15, so now I'm on 20, and just kind of keep doing this. Tomorrow I might do, I'm thinking about maybe 30. And I'll put links to the first notes videos and in the video description and playlists to find that stuff. And I'm happy I chose 20 pages today because it was a one coherent theme. Yeah. Okay, so that's the introduction. Coherent theme. Huh? For not 60 pages, for 20 pages, you say? What? It's been all over the place. It finally kind of hunkered down. So these 20 pages are about 2 people. It really focuses in on Roger Bannister and Wes Santee as they kind of hone in and start to focus in on running the 1 mile run faster than 4 minutes. But there's a little bit of lingering coverage of John Landy, the Australian, and his performance, and then backing up a really fast performance, like, to kind of like, no, this was real and I can still do this time. It wasn't a one-hit wonder kind of thing. And so it's kind of an interesting section because it kind of it transitions on the John Landy, the Australian runner, and his approach to honing in on the 4-minute mile barrier being very much about him and representing his country and kind of elevating the country, Australia, in a place. And he ran his times at, well, in a Australian competition. So this is kind of the at the beginning, because it was a transition from the previous section of this one. Was the international coverage that came from a really very fast time, an Australian record, if I'm recalling correctly. There was a very fast time, got international coverage, and then he backed it up, and that's on the page, the beginning of this and the end of the previous section, but beginning of this, specifically the international coverage. And you know, people were like, but what? And then he ran another time less than a second slower than it, and they were like, oh, okay, he can still do it, right? It's not just like over and done kind of thing. And so for this Australian, John Landy, it's very much about him and his country and improving his country and like elevating the esteem of Australia in the 1 mile run and middle distance running. So then it transitions to Roger Bannister, who is at this point in time, which it doesn't say when, after the 1952 Summer Olympic Games in Helsinki, Finland. He's a medical student, and how he actually focuses in on the 1 mile run approach is through research in physiology to understand kind of in research the limits of the human body in running. So, you know, so there's the Australian, his running style, self-improvement in his country. And then there's Roger Bannister, who's like juggling medical school with running and improving on himself, but also researching like human anatomy and what happens under certain conditions. And if somebody runs so long or pushes themselves so hard, kind of what happens, right? So in running and kind of any physical pursuit, there's such thing as too much. And so this was some of that foundational research, which if you hear about athletes in modern times, so I'm filming this was my reading notes for Tuesday, 16 January 2024. If people overtrain, they might have heard of research that shows that it can be very damaging to one's health and performance if they do too much. And so this was the 1950s, right? So some people might ignore that research, or if they've heard it, they don't listen to it, so to speak. But that was what he was researching, kind of thing. And it was like, oh, the runners always know too well that, you know, if you push yourself too hard, there's like, it really can go bad real fast. And so his research actually documents that kind of thing. So that's how his approach is, and the author is trying to keep up with different people. So that's kind of he goes from this Olympic Games performance to let me focus in on this 4-minute barrier, and he's doing that balanced with his medical research, but then taking his medical school, but taking it into physiology research, right? So making his schooling and his research relevant to his athletic pursuit. And then the last person in the section that's covered, Wes Santee. So Roger Bannister, actually, Roger Bannister, Great Britain, England, London, Oxford. Okay, so yeah, and then up last is, which is okay. Then it's about his country as well, but it's kind of doing that through his research in medicine and stuff. Or not medicine, but medical school / physiology research. And then up last is Wes Santee, who focuses in on this race while balancing work at Pi Phi sorority and hours with his girlfriend. How very American, right? And so that's kind of his story as he's running in college for the University of Kansas. No. Drake University? No, he's running at Drake University. I think earlier it said University of Kansas. Yes, University of Kansas. And he lives in a fraternity house, and he works at a sorority house, and runs for the school, and has a girlfriend a bougie girlfriend, to use modern terminology. And so that's kind of what it lays out. Is that that dynamic. And so the American is doing it for the girl. College athletics. Which is like what every American college these days. So of the three, my preference would right as a road runner in my personal pursuits. I started running back in January 2006 with myself as coach. Of the three covered in terms of like my own personal style, John Landy, the Australian runner, of the focus on self-improvement, developing and kind of fine-tuning a running style and representing one's own country at the national level, right? I think that's really cool, right? That's really not done in a lot of American sports these days. I live in the United States of America, that's why I bring it up currently as of filming this anyway. I have lived outside of the United States of America in the past. And so it's just an interesting thing, because I'm like, yes, the Americans always want to go to the world championships, but John Landy's like, but I want to make my country shine, and I want to run my times fast and represent my country well on home soil. And at Australia competition, and I think that's really cool. All right, not forgetting one's country or leaving them behind, because, the athlete just wants international press at a world championships, right? So I think that's really how presented in this 20-page section, right? It keeps changing as I read. For this section, I was like, John Landy. Also, I do the same set, walk around set, same stationary bicycle set, right? And those are 5 or 6 days a week currently. I'm the John Landy's approach to repeating or getting very close and repeating the same time after going a personal best time, right? Repetition in performance. I'm about that. Not a lot of people are, at least in the United States of America, right? I like that it doesn't always have to be faster. It can be fast and then follow up with another fast time. Not devaluing the significance of a second best time, kind of thing. So I liked that about John Landy in this section. So that was it. It was kind of how these three athletes kind of honed in with all of the stuff they had going on, how they kind of took that first step and really focusing in on approaching the 4-minute barrier in the 1 mile run. So that was what this section was about. Per my description. Okay, these aren't my reading notes. And yeah. In conclusion, those are my notes for today. I might try more pages tomorrow. We shall see. Tentatively, that's the plan. A happy day and time of viewing this, whenever you're viewing this, and happy place of viewing this, wherever you're viewing this from.